What we're here to hear about today is that, unfortunately, Simon's wife passed away in, was it 2021?
2020.
Yeah, 2020. And there's Simon in his home. Was he going to let people take care of him? No, he wasn't. And so he basically redid his kitchen so that he could safely cook for himself. Now, again, he has no vision. He is as blind as a rock or a stone, I think.
Really that bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
blind.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I did one time say he was blind as a bat, and he said, no, bats have some vision. So anyway, so Simon redid his kitchen, and he came up with a marvelous system whereby he can cook for himself safely. He has not cut off any of his body parts that I know of.
Well, last time I looked in the mirror, they were all there.
You're so funny. Anyway, you've been able to maintain your independence. If you haven't seen his book, or it's marvelous, it's called First Catch Your Rabbit, and it's all about what he's going to talk to us about. How do you, with no vision, set up your kitchen, and how do you cook?
Yes, please.
Now, the thing is, we're a group of people with macular degeneration, and we know that you don't lose all of your vision. What we use Simon as, and he's okay with this, he's the worst case scenario. If somebody with no vision,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I've often been called the worst case scenario.
Yes, you are the worst case scenario. And
I have no diagnosis. They've been 7 years and they can't decide yet. And I've lost the vision in one eye and the second is going, and they still don't know.
Yeah.
So I could be another worst case scenario.
Well, let's hope not. But
no, this is why I want every bit of information that Simon can give me.
Okay. Well,
right. Hang on a minute.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question, Linda?
Yes, go ahead.
Right. Sorry, your name from Andover?
Ina Deacon, ENADEACON.
Okay, Ina. Ina, do you have
we lived about 4 miles outside Andover.
Yeah, that's all right. Do you have a CVI?
CVI, what's that?
Oh my God. Yeah, another one. Certificate of Visual Impairment.
Are you registered?
I've got one eye that is very good as yet, but they say that it won't be long before it goes. But they don't know when or where or how.
And batter him about getting a certificate of visual impairment, because what you'll find is that I'll send you a film. Actually, I'll get your email at the end of it. What you find is that the eye clinics are very good at looking after eyes. Here am I sitting here stone blind, but they're not so good at understanding sight loss.
No, and I see there's a little office in Salisbury Hospital saying this woman here helps you if you're losing your vision, and she'll tell you all sorts of things, but she's never there. So I don't know. I find Salisbury is not very good. So I've referred myself to Southampton.
Do you have a Kindle?
Okay, I'll tell you what, Simon and Ina, let's do this. I don't want to. No, we'll
talk later. Actually,
yes, we'll talk later. Okay, we'll stay.
Okay, sorry.
Stay after.
I'm so excited, Simon. There's a trouble.
I know you are, and it's lovely to see.
I have that effect on ladies. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
do you? I can't see you yet, and I've got one eye that looks.
Well, unfortunately, he is in the dark. Only literally today, not figuratively. So, Simon. Tell us, go ahead, tell us, what did you do?
Okay, right. What I want to start with, first of all, is a sort of a general observation that however good your sight is, once it begins to fail, what happens is you lose the ability to be able to spot something, just a part of something, recreate it in your mind and know it's there and pick it up. For example, I used to be able to pick up 1/4 of an inch of the Spitfire keyring I had poking out from under my coat and know that that meant that my keys were there. I could, when my eyesight started to go, I could no longer do that. So one of the really dreadful things that happened was, because I wasn't continuing going past things and seeing them, which gave me a kind of visual reinforcement, I was accused of losing my memory. I wasn't losing my memory. What was happening, I was not able to reinforce visually the sight of what I needed to collect later on. So, for example, if it was my keys, I would see them on.
Simon, I'm sorry. I muted you accidentally. Would you please unmute yourself? I'm sorry. Simon? Oh, Simon. Can you unmute yourself, please? Alt A. It shouldn't have muted the host, the co-host. So, oh, Simon. 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 Can you do a Alt A and unmute yourself? I can't unmute you from here. I'm sorry.
I'm wondering if he can't hear you.
No, well, I'm not muted. Simon? Simon? I think, shake your head if you can hear me, Natalie. Ina, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Oh my, we're having a problem with Simon's audio now. It should not have muted him. He's the co-host. Simon. And he's in the dark. I can't read his lips. Simon. Simon. Alt A. Simon. Hello, Simon. Simon.
Hang on.
Oh, there you go.
You got me.
I got you. I'm sorry. I muted everybody and it's not supposed to mute the co-host.
Right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. So go ahead.
Right. How far had I got?
Well, you said that you didn't lose your memory. It's
right. Okay.
just
Fine.
that,
Yeah. So one of the things that you'll find is that people will run with the idea that you are beginning to lose your memory. Do not collude with it. You're merely not getting the same level of visual reinforcement that you were before for actually seeing things to pick them up. Now, why this is relevant is it means that one of the important things you've got to do is to start having a place for everything and insist that people recognize that is the place for your things and they must not under any circumstances be moved. Because as I say, when you're beginning to lose your sight, it's harder to spot things. Now, if we look at organization generally, one of the things I had to do was to sort out my clothes, and I'll come on to the kitchen in a minute. And what I did is I separated my clothes into seasonal and unseasonal clothes. The unseasonal clothes were put into another room, so that thinned down my wardrobe immediately. I then put my wardrobe into ensembles and labeled them. So I know exactly what I'm wearing, and I know exactly what t-shirt is what t-shirt, what shirt is what shirt, what tie is what tie, and so on and so forth. So one of the things you've got to do is to actually simplify your clothing, because as you're eyesight deteriorates, you'll find it harder and harder to match your clothing and actually have ensembles that go together with each other. And you have to do this quite deliberately. You have to be absolutely organized down to the last T. Now, this applies to the whole house. You need to get everything so organized that it's almost regimented. And this immediately brings me now into the kitchen. The kitchen, as we know, not just from our own experience, but from any statistics you care to look at, is the most dangerous place in the house. If you think about it, you've got sharp objects, you've got hot or boiling water, you've got water and electricity in combination, or if you've got gas, as we all know, gas can go bang without any any invitation at all. You have to be careful with it, especially if you do have an impairment of sight and you haven't properly turned off the gas tap and it's hissing away quite happily. So again, you're going to have to learn how to check everything physically and not rely on your eyesight at all. One of the things that you must get used to is the idea that your eyes are no longer reliable. That makes it so much easier to be able to then slip into a routine, into a kind of game plan that works for you, whether you can see or not. Now, I can go into my kitchen and people will walk in the middle of winter and I haven't got the lights on. They'll say, "Oh, what are you doing?" I say, "Oh, I'm cooking." "Well, how can you see what you're doing?" "Well, I can't, can I?" And they can't seem to get their heads around it. Begin with, when my wife died, it was chaos. I didn't know where anything was. I didn't know what various things did. And for me, as a sort of normal kind of guy, the amount of organisation required to run a kitchen was absolutely mind-blowing. To an extent, you guys have an advantage because you already know the degree of organisation required. First thing I had to do was I had to slim down my kitchen. By that, I went through everything with my daughter. And anything which had not been used in the last year was gone, out. That meant gadgets, it meant pans, it meant dishes, it meant all kinds of things. It also meant going through all the herbs and spices, anything I was not like to use, gone. I then settled down and I ended up with about 4 or 5 gadgets and 4 or 5 pans. The pans were 3 ordinary saucepans, a deep skillet, I think you call them, and a wok. So I was limited down to that. So I could stir fry, I could fry, I could boil. And as far as I was concerned, that was fine. As far as the gadgets were concerned, I slimmed it down to a slow cooker. Marvellous bit of kit, you sling it in, leave it alone, and take it out a few hours later and eat it. I mean, it couldn't be more simple than that. A blitzer, I don't know what you call them, liquidizer, yeah? Linda, you still with me?
Yeah, close enough.
Right.
I don't have one, so I don't know what they're called, but yeah.
Oh, they're great.
A blender,
Yeah.
maybe. Blender.
A what?
Blender.
Blender.
Yeah.
Yeah, blender. Blitzer, blender. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Will Smith made a big issue out of his blender in, I think it was it Public Enemy?
Know. I don't
Public
know.
Enemy, when he was a lawyer being chased by satellite. Anyway,
I don't know.
that's another matter altogether. So basically I got my kitchen as simple as I could. I then got myself a tray, 60 centimeters, which is what, oh God, about 2 foot by about 40 centimeters, which is about 18 inches, I think. Yeah, sounds about right. And I used that to put my chopping board on. The reason for this was that when you have poor sight, when you create mess, it's very difficult to track where it's all gone and to make sure that it doesn't stray all over the place. I mean, the last thing you want to be doing is looking for that last pea or bit of onion skin or whatever. So whenever I do chopping or dicing or slicing or whatever, or preparing vegetables, I do it on a chopping board within a tray. The tray acts as an area where you can contain all the mess. And when you've finished, you just put the mess in the bin. That simple. And it saves you an awful lot of time dashing around trying to find the mess and clean up, knowing that you'll never be able to get it all because you can't see it properly. I also sorted out a basic store of herbs, spices, and I make sure I have certain vegetables. I use quite a lot of frozen vegetables, which quite frankly, excuse me, are a pretty fair substitute for fresh vegetables. So I've always got frozen vegetables in reserve, though I try and use fresh vegetables as much as I can. I stay away from processed food, for partly for health and partly because I just don't find processed food very nutritious. So I use fresh ingredients all the time and I prepare them from scratch. Now, in order to be able to do this safely, having already mentioned to you the fact that I'm dealing with very sharp knives, because there's no point in having blunt ones, because blunt ones are dangerous. Because with blunt ones, you use more force. Therefore, if you do have an accident, you're going to actually cause a lot more damage. I find that sharp ones, you've got far more control. And if you actually use your nail as a guide and just slide the blade down your nail and then move it back along the vegetable, that works extremely well. I can chop a carrot or slice a carrot as well as anybody. Now, as I said, bearing in mind the danger, I had to actually develop a system. And the system, as it finally emerged, was what I called KISS and SLOPE. KISS is the old acronym of Keep It Simple, Stupid, which I think is known on both sides of the pond. So, because basically, when you can't see very well, life can be very complicated. So your main endeavour has got to be to keep it as simple as possible. So you don't look for complications. You don't look to make life difficult. You make it as simple as you can. And you keep that in mind as a guiding principle all the way through. Now, this system I'm about to talk about is also equally applicable to anything you do as a sight impaired person. I only realised that after I published a book, which was a bit annoying because I could have included it. But I've come to realise the system can actually be used for every aspect of my life. So we got Keep It Simple, Stupid, which is about keeping it as straightforward and uncomplicated as possible. An example of the tray and the chopping board is one example of keeping it simple because all the mess is contained in one area. So you're not chasing around all over the worktop trying to find it. Next, we come on to safety. Safety, this is the slope part. Safety is something you have to bear in mind all the time. Not only in terms of your own comfort, in terms of not injuring yourself. As my old sergeant used to say, get up, sir, is only pain. And it's very true. An injury is only pain when you can see. When you can't see, it is a huge deal, because those around you will interpret it as incompetence, and they will do everything they can to stop you from doing the activity that caused you the injury in the first place. So whilst an injury is only pain if you're sighted, when you are losing your sight, an injury is a cause of loss of credibility. And that is a huge bar to your becoming an independent and fulfilled person with sight impairment. Because believe me, it's quite possible to do it. So safety is a double-edged thing, if you like, and you keep it in mind all the time. It's for your own comfort and safety, but it's also to maintain your credibility as a competent person. Because remember, if you have a disability, people see you as disabled. If you are disabled, you are inferior. If you are inferior, you are not to be trusted to do the things that everybody else does. So what you're fighting for the whole time is your credibility. And the best way to maintain your credibility is not to end up injuring yourself. Just a thought. I thought that was worth sharing. The next one on the way on the an acronym SLOPE is the lazy person principle. Now, we all know that moving about when your eyesight is bad is full of dozens of exciting possibilities. In my case, I know that any movement is fraught with interesting opportunities to injure myself, fall over, knock something over, or just generally cause uproar and dismay. So what I do when I'm cooking, I arrange everything in such a way that I do not have to move. I act, as it were, as a lazy person. I think, how would a lazy person do this? How would they arrange things in such a way that they don't have to move around? This is what I call the lazy person principle. And it's very, very important, because every movement that we make when we have impaired sight, as I said, is fraught with interesting possibilities. And if you're thinking about something else, well, you might as well book yourself a bed in the local ED department. That's simple. Okay, so we've got SL, safety and lazy person principle, and these are two underlying principles, ideas that need to actually underpin your entire practice. That is, as well as KISS, which is keep it simple. So we now come on to the first really tangible part of the acronym. O for organisation. Now, organisation can be going right back to the beginning of getting your kitchen cleaned out, prepared, simplified. For example, one of the things I did was to put my bins in a pair of cupboards. First of all, this meant they weren't a trip hazard, and secondly, they didn't form a choke point in the kitchen, and thirdly, they're out of the way. And one of the things I do subsequent to that is that when I'm working, I always have a bowl on the worktop for my slops and things to go into, so that I don't need to go to the waste bins until I finish the whole operation. So again, it's a lazy person principle. Organisation also means that you reverse engineer every meal you do. You will do it already. Perhaps you don't realise you do it, but you do. Because when you're going to prepare a meal, you think, oh yeah, I've got that, I've got that, I've got that, yeah, I need that, I've got that, yep, okay, we can do that. Okay, we all do that. But the thing about this is that you must actually do it consciously and to a greater degree than before. Again, working in line with the lazy person principle, you check that you've got all the ingredients you need. You check that you've got all the equipment and implements you need. And you check that everything is laid out in terms of the working area. And part of organisation, which really I suppose also flows into the next one, which is preparation, is to make sure, again, bearing in mind that we're acting as if we can't see it at all, that everything on the worktop that is not going to be used is removed, or at least shoved down to one end so it doesn't get in the way. So you've got your organisation, you've reverse engineered your meal, you know you've got all the ingredients, or it may be your reverse engineering starts right in the morning when you think, right, I fancy making such and such, I need such and such. No, I haven't got that, or that, I've got that and that. Okay, I need to go and that and that. So that, if you like, forms your shopping list for that particular meal. But of course, again, looking at the lazy person principle, you would tend to plan 4 or 5 meals so that you're not having to pop into the shops every 5 minutes. I tend to have 1 shop a week, and I've got my meals planned out for the week. So I know exactly what I need, what I've got, and what I need to get in. I must admit, it usually includes a box of red wine as well, but let's not go there. Now, we've now come to the preparation bit. What we've done, we've made a start by making sure that the working area is clean and clear. You then make sure that you've got your equipment there. It could be pots, it could be a skillet, it could be knives, it could be forks for mixing, larger spoons, small spoons, it could be anything you like, but make sure that every single piece of equipment you're going to use is laid out, laid out next to your tray, so it's handy for you to be able to access it and you know what it is. On the other side, you put down, all your ingredients, even down to the last spoonful of herbs or the last half cup of water. Make sure that everything is there. And that's your organisation, that's your preparation bit. Preparation bit also includes making sure that you've got a bowl there to put your rubbish in, so that you don't have to go backwards and forwards to the waste bin. As I said before, that's encouraging the lazy person principle. And make sure also that you have some hot soapy water in the sink with a towel clear of the preparation area, so that at any time you can wash your hands. Now, one of the interesting things is sometimes if you haven't done your preparation as well as you might, you'll be patting around and you'll put your hand in something and you think, ooh, I don't know what that is. I don't want to know. I think I'll go wash my hands. So you can be, if you like, ready. If you put your hand in something you really don't want to know about, you can actually go and wash your hands without having to move too far. So again, it's about being organized at a very, very high level, at a conscious level. A lot of these things we might do unconsciously, but how many times when we're sighted do we, when we're in the middle of a meal, think, middle of preparing a meal, oh yeah, I need such and such, you dash over the fridge and get it, or you dash into the larder and get it. Oh, I need that bit of kit, and you dash over and get it. When you have sight impairment, not a good idea. As I said, the more movement involved, the more danger of injury. Injury, as I said, isn't just pain, it's also loss of credibility. And this, everything we do as sight impaired people, or excuse me, people with sight impairment, must be to maintain our credibility, because at the end of the day, our goal is to be able to do the same as anybody else without alarming those about us, because they will try and stop us, believe me.
Simon,
So, yeah,
it's Linda. When you presented to your family, you have what, one daughter? How many?
got 2 daughters, 1 son.
Okay. When you presented to your family after your wife died that you were going to take care of yourself, live by yourself, and do things like cook, what was the reaction?
Reaction from my daughter was, good on you, Dad. How can I help you get there?
Great. Great. So,
And
all right.
that is a reaction that we have to encourage. But as I say, if we injure ourselves en route, that will set us back, because it's not just the pain and the blood. It's the lack of, it's a loss of credibility, because we are not operating on a level playing field. The only way we can level the playing field is to demonstrate our competence.
And that doesn't,
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that does not only apply to someone like yourself who's totally blind. That's anybody with reduced vision. You know,
Yeah.
many of our members face the same thing. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, one of the things I want to talk about in a later session is assertiveness and communication skills and listening skills. But I mean, that's for a later session.
Yeah.
Because that is actually the key to re-inclusion. Okay, so we've got our safety, we've got our lazy person principle, we've got our organisation, we've got our preparation. Now, at the time of writing, I was thinking, yeah, that'll do. And I thought, oh dear, slop. That's not very good when you're talking about food. No. So I thought, yeah, we need another level. So the E is execution. Basically, what you've done is safely and with minimal movement and making sure you've got everything you need and laid everything out so there's nothing else to confuse you, you are now in a place where you can stand there and construct your meal without moving. So the whole thing has led to this, where you just stand there and you construct your meal. At this stage, you might want to turn the oven on if you're using an oven to get it up to heat, because let's face it, it'll only take a few minutes to actually do the construction of the meal. And then you can sling that in the oven, have a glass of wine, put your feet up for 25 minutes.
Now, I want to add that if you get his book, and I don't get any money from sales, so he's not talking about just cooking simple meals. He puts recipes in his books, like here's all kinds of pasta recipes, cottage pie, ham and cheese pasta, chicken bake, of course, toad in the hole. You have to have toad in the hole. I mean,
Wind of the Willows.
yeah, Wind of the Willows, yes. But the point is, you don't just do simple things. You do recipes that a sighted person would do. There, some
Well,
of them,
I do the food I used to do.
yeah, used to eat.
I mean, one of my favorite recipes is a savory apple pie, which I know that's a bit of anathema to Americans, but bear with me. I know that America is about mom and apple pie. Well, this apple pie is slightly different. It's blind pure apple pie. Basically, I make an apple pie. I have a short crust pastry base. And like most of the TV chefs, I buy my pastry ready rolled. I mean, if you want to fiddle about making your own pastry, fair enough. As far as I'm concerned, that is keeping away from keep it simple, stupid. So I buy my pastry ready made. And I mean, making an apple pie, I mean, if we go through the whole routine, organization, I need a pie dish, I need a sharp knife, I need, what else do I need? I need a saucepan.
Apples.
I need a chopping board, I need, that's, yeah, a couple of sharp knives, that's about it, really. And oh yeah, and a dessert spoon. I also need apples, onions, bit of chili, walnuts, pastry, and something like a Stilton blue or a Shropshire blue or a Wensleydale blue. So that's your organisation. So you get your ingredients on one side, you get your equipment on the other, put your dish in the middle, you bang your, you grease your dish, you put your pastry in, trim it off. At the same time, you've got onions, you've prepared your apple by peeling it and coring it and dicing it. You prepared your onion by usually about the same amount of onion as apple. You prepare that by obviously chopping it, excuse me, topping, tailing, skinning and chopping. And then you put them together and you let them, what I do is I use the skin of the apple in a small pan with a bit of water, and I let that brew up a bit, and I use that as a liquid for the apples and the onion. I let that simmer for about 10-15 minutes so it's sort of semi-soft. I mix in a little bit of chili, and that, how much is down to you. So
I'm shaking my head again. You told me about this before.
Oh, you don't have to use the chili.
Yeah, but
So
the onions.
Apple, onion and chili, right? Put that in the bottom of your pie dish. You then spread your walnut pieces on that, so you've got a nice layer. You then slice your blue cheese on top of that, and then you spread a layer of puff pastry. Give it a quick brush over with either milk or beaten egg, and shove it in the oven. And there you have it. 25-30 minutes later, it is delicious.
I have to take your word for it, and I'm going to have to try it one of these days. But apples and onions and chili.
Seriously, I think you like it. And cold, it's amazing.
Okay, if you say so.
I think the main thing is that you keep it as simple as possible. And if you follow the steps, you don't miss anything. So you're not scurrying backwards and forwards collecting stuff, because that's what you've got to avoid. You've got to make it as simple and as uncomplicated and as organized as possible. It requires a modicum of thought, not a huge amount, just a little bit more than you would normally. That's all. But the main aim is to make sure that you don't have to move around too much, because if you move around too much, you're going to end up being injured. If you're injured, you are going to be stopped from doing what you're doing, or at least have a stand-up row about whether you should or not. And the last thing any of us need is to be challenged whether or not we should be doing something. I remember I'd been replacing my conservatory floor. Bit tricky, involving hammers and chisels and things like that. And as luck would have it, chisel slipped and re-sculpted my finger. So I slapped a bit of duct tape around it and wandered down to the medical centre. And the nurse looked at me and said, "You're blind, should you really be doing this sort of thing?" And I looked at her and said, "Why shouldn't I be? Because to be honest with you, I'm just as likely to injure myself whether I can see or not." And I think people have got used to the idea now that if I want to do something, I'll do it. You know, I went out for my first sail yesterday. That was delightful. Nice strong wind, boat leaning over, sun in my face, fantastic.
No, that's great.
And I'm hoping against, well, next week I'm actually going to be part of a human library in a place called Belper. I shall go along as a book, and people can take me out and read me.
That sounds great. Simon, I just wanted to say that we have about 10 minutes remaining. How about we open the floor to any questions?
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
All right, so anyone, you can unmute yourself or send me a chat, whatever you'd like to do. Or Ina, do you know how to unmute yourself? Ina, I can see you gesturing, but I can't hear you. Unmute yourself. We're playing charades here, Simon. There you go.
I'm here.
Go
No, I
ahead.
have so many questions. First of all, may I speak to Simon?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a husband. I'm a carer. I'm a carer for my husband. He was looking for keys. He needs things the whole time. How on earth do you manage to stop other people interfering in your systems? I'm living with this man. He's a lot older than I am, and I don't want to get rid of him just so I can have a system and line stuff up on my shelf. So what do I do? Have you any suggestions? You're a man. I don't know.
Right.
Tell him to stay out of your trays.
Right now. Yeah.
That's right.
Well,
Don't touch my tray.
Right, set up trays around the house.
No, what I'm saying, no, what you need to do is to learn to use the I message.
The I method.
The I message.
Message.
A lot of people, when they are unhappy about what someone is doing, will say, "Will you stop doing that?" Now, "you" is actually quite an accusatory word, and it's associated with, "Oh, you think that, do you? Oh, where have you been? What time do you call this?" You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We all associate "you" with guilt. What happens is, the minute you use the word "you," people start putting up barriers to what you're saying, and they don't hear you. If you use the I message, what you're doing is you're taking responsibility for the fact that the problem is yours, not theirs.
Yeah,
So
I
what you're
understand.
saying is,
Can you give us an example of an I message?
sure. Now somebody comes in and they move something, and I will say to them, "Has that book just been moved?" "Yeah, it's in the way." "Well, no, it's not in the way. I would like it there, please, because I know where it is. And they can't argue with that. They know I'm blind.
Yeah, I know he's going off a bit though too, so it's a bit difficult. He doesn't sometimes know he's doing things.
No,
Oh, God.
You know, I wonder about coping, but I can see very well with this eye as yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
somebody suggested in the group,
dementia.
somebody suggested in our group is if Ina, you have a place, a tray, a basket.
I heard that's fine. Yeah, I understand that. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. Also, when he called me, Simon, I had to go out. Were you mentioning things like labeling them? Because that's something that really puzzles me. How on earth do you know about the identity of all your clothing or all your bottles or jars or whatever?
There's an item called the pen friend. The pen friend is an electronic label.
Pen friend.
Pen friend.
Yeah, pen friend.
It's not a label maker.
No,
Okay.
it's a pen friend. What it is, excuse me. What it is, it's a little pen-sized computer which will scan a label you've pre-made. Okay, and it comes with a set of adhesive labels. Now, I actually put the adhesive labels on a piece of plastic with a rubber band so I can reuse them.
That was another question. Good.
Because what a lot of people do, they put them on a tin, they throw the tin away, they've lost the label.
Yeah, yeah.
Utter madness. So I actually put them, I label them by putting the adhesive label on a piece of plastic, which I then put on a rubber band, which I then put around the tin. And basically what happens is that once you've got your label on your temporary label, and you know you've got a tin of soup in your hand, say tomato soup, you put the pen friend on it and you press the second button, it beeps, which means it's ready to record. You say tomato soup and you press that second button again, it stops recording. You then put it back on the label and the label will say tomato soup. What the label is an address, and that address, it will take you to where you've recorded the words labels tomato soup. Now you can get these from R&IB. They're about 85 quid.
Okay,
And they are a godsend.
Yeah, the idea for those who didn't catch everything is that you have a pen, or there are other types of these devices. You record something. Okay, as you said, you've got a can of tomato soup in front of you. You speak into a recorder, tomato soup. It prints out a label that you put on the tomato soup. Then
No, Linda.
Yes.
No, it records the tomato soup in the recorder, and the label gives you the address for the recording in the in the little handheld computer.
Okay, so sometimes it's different, actually, Simon, with different ones, but the concept is you have some way of touching a can of tomato soup with a device, or you press a label and it will speak back to you what that item is. Okay,
It can be
you make a label that talks to you.
Yeah. It can be used.
Thank you, Linda. I understand that one. So that's R&IB, is that right, Simon?
R&IB, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Institute for Blind People.
Simon,
Yes.
there's a question here that says, do you make larger amounts of a recipe so you can eat leftovers, or do you cook each meal new?
Right. I was really lazy this week. I made a bowl of chili on, what's the day? Sunday. I made a bowl of chili on Monday and it served me all week.
So, oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I could do batch cooking, and and I've got some stuff in the freezer which I've made before. But I find what I generally do, I don't eat it. So I tend to just cook individual meals. I've got dishes where I can make an individual pasta bake. Of course, the real issue in this country at the moment is the cost of power. And that's another thing. I've learned to actually make a pasta bake on 10 minutes worth of oven, when in fact it normally takes 40 minutes.
Mhm.
Another question is what type of, okay, so the tray you have has a lip on the side so nothing spills over, right?
Yep.
Simon?
Yeah, I'm here, sorry.
Okay. But your tray has a lip on it,
Yeah.
an edge so nothing spills over. And someone asked, how do you make it so that if somebody's in the kitchen like a child, that they wouldn't grab the tray and the tray would slide off?
Well, it won't
Or-
slide off because number one, it's silicon.
It's silicon, so it doesn't
Yeah.
slide. It's a special
Yeah.
material. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually
Well-
it's actually a large dog feeding mat.
Oh, a dog feeding tray, a mat.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
It's
Now,
brilliant.
my husband's a retired OT, and he would also say that you can get rolls of non-slip. He calls it Dysum. It's a particular kind of rubbery thing. Or I have it all over the house. Different kinds of. You can cut whatever size you want of a piece of this material. We have it under dog bowls. We have it under things on the counter so they don't slip. So now I don't know,
Well-
Barbara, Barbara, did that answer your question? You can,
I thought can you hear me?
yes, we can.
I thought his tray has a lip around it to keep things from spilling. I use flat surface that doesn't slide, but I do get a lot of trash onto the floor. It
Well-
spills.
You need to get
And
a
he
tray.
talked about,
Yeah, with a
Right.
lid.
that's what I'm trying to figure out, the tray, if it has a lip around it.
Yeah, it
And I
has a
put
lip.
I put a cutting board inside it. Then I'm trying to maneuver over the lip to do my cutting. Does that make sense?
No, because you'll have your hand on the cutting board anyway, so that will give you your level, and your tray should be just what the cutting board is sitting on. And basically, if you just sweep to the right and you've left an area there, it'll land in the tray.
Do you
Now,
mean,
the tray,
yeah,
by its very nature, has a lip around it.
do you mean you would slide the cutting board to a corner of the
Yep.
tray? The tray
Yeah.
has to be big enough to do that, right?
Yes, which
You
is why
move
I've
the-
got
Yeah.
a 2 foot by 18-inch one.
Yeah,
Right,
you
but
move-
this tray also has all your other items in it as well.
No.
Okay,
The
you move
other-
them
the
in
other
and out.
items- The other items are to one side. I've got the
Okay.
equipment on the left. I've got the ingredients on the right.
Okay.
have you
I
ever,
thought you had-
The other thing I do, which I forgot to mention, is when I'm working, I visualize what I'm doing. This makes it a lot easier for me as someone who can't see at all. And if you have difficulty in seeing, it might be something that you may want to think about. The only problem is, when say I've done a whole load of onions, a whole load of carrots, and a whole load of excuse me, mushrooms or whatever. I've been cutting away like mad. And I've been sort of visualizing for 10 or 15 minutes. I'll come out of the visualization and think, God, I've gone blind. What's gone wrong? And it's a real shock.
Oh, you are
It
lucky.
can really throw you.
Ooh-wee.
But visualization is a very, very useful tool.
Have you come across aphantasia, Simon?
What?
Aphantasia, where you can't visualize things. I've just discovered that I cannot see an apple in my mind's eye or anything. I have nothing. So
Really?
I've got to, yeah, really, truly, nothing.
That's
Oh, that's a bit of a
unusual.
sign.
I guess it
Right.
is.
Interesting thing. I'm totally blind, right?
Yeah.
And whenever I do anything, I have a very sharp visual memory of it.
You're lucky. I used to do TEFL teaching too, and I had a book called, I don't know, In the Mind's Eye or something like that. And I thought, what on earth are they talking about? This is just crazy. I have no mind's eye. I have nothing. And they've now set up an association, I think it's in Exeter, about people like that.
Well, your fingers, your touch is going to be important to you.
Oh, TEFL,
Absolutely,
teaching
absolutely,
foreign
yeah.
language.
What did you
Yeah.
say, Simon?
It's all new and it's all interesting. I don't know. It's fascinating.
Barbara, you had another question before we lose it. What type of measure?
Yeah, what type of measuring vessels do you use?
Well, this is the advantage of being a man, you see. I use teaspoons, I use dessert spoons, I use tablespoons, I use half mugs, I use mugs, I use handfuls. I am not a precision cook.
So in other words, you don't have formal measuring cups.
No, but there are some you can get.
Yeah.
And I've got some, but I don't use them.
Amazing.
I'm much happier having a handful of this and a spoonful of that, a spoonful of the other.
Have you ever done a video of your cooking?
Yeah, there's a couple on oh god.
On your
There's a
site?
No, there's a couple on Blind Veterans website, I believe.
Okay. I'll have to go find them.
Yeah. I've got, I think I might have a couple somewhere. I'll dig them out and send them to you.
Yeah, please. I think that would be very helpful to see you in action, actually.
Well,
But-
people come in and say, "What are you doing?" I say, "I'm cooking." What? I'm cooking. Well, isn't that dangerous? Well, isn't it for everyone? You know.
Cooking with the lights out.
Oh yeah.
I challenge all
You
of
don't want
you.
to you don't want to let sight get in the way of doing things.
That's right. I challenge the rest of us to try cooking with our eyes closed.
It's an interesting experience.
I wouldn't dare. I try getting about the house with my eyes closed, and I can do that, but I wouldn't dare to try to cook. No.
Well,
Why not?
I
You
wouldn't
need-
either.
you need to get Simon's book. I'm telling you.
Well, I know I've got to get my husband to get it for me because I can't buy
Yeah.
things online. I'm useless. Yeah. But he's got to be in a receptive mood before he'll do things. And
Barbara,
Right.
was it you who said you wouldn't cook?
A book. I think you.
I would cut things up and put them in a pot and dip them out. But no, I
Yep.
live alone and I wouldn't do much more than that by myself on a stove or with a knife if I was totally
Knife.
blind.
A knife, if you remember, the nearer the knife is to your finger, the closer you know where it is.
Oh, that's true, but I can see and I cut myself.
You and me both. And this thing
And me
about
too,
sharper, these thing about sharper knives are safer. My husband has this thing about sharpening them to the perfection, and I have cuts all over. Do you know what
Right.
though, Barbara? There are actually gloves that you can get to wear.
I use one.
Okay.
I use one.
Yeah, I have to too when he sharpens the knives.
Yeah.
I don't believe what I'm hearing here.
What do you mean?
Simon,
Yeah.
do you have any help at all? You do everything completely on your own?
Oh yeah.
Did you
Oh,
see
sorry.
Did you see his cat
I've
walk?
got three dogs and a cat.
Yeah.
I look after.
You don't. Oh my goodness me. Oh, it's amazing.
Occasionally, But
Well,
unfortunately, my dogs are Shih Tzus, and they Shih Tzu by name, Shih Tzu by nature. And occasionally there'll be a scream of rage as something goes between my toes. But you know, apart from that,
Wow. I don't know. Yeah.
And he gets around by walking to the bus stop and getting on any number of buses that he needs to get to where he wants to go. At Christmas time, he gathers up all the Christmas gifts for his family, and he puts them on himself, and he gets on how many buses, and he goes and delivers his Christmas presents, don't you, Simon?
yep, I go from Ashbourne to Derby to Market Harbour to Bedford to Bristol to Ludlow. I'm back again.
You get the idea.
Ludlow's
right?
a nice place.
Lovely
Get
place.
good there.
So the question for the rest of us is Simon, I mean, he is special. There's no doubt about it. But
Oh yeah.
if he can do
Yeah.
this, if he
Sort
can
of
do this,
special treatment, like put him in
yeah,
the
I
bath.
know.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Seriously.
We're all females here, and we've got one male there. And I know that when I was on steroids, I nearly cut the end off my finger because I was cooking in the middle of the night and slicing away.
I have got to post some of the videos that have the proper way to cut things and to do it without sight. There are several blind cooks who do that all the time. So I'm going to have to educate us.
I'm so spoilt, I think. I've seen well until about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
And this is all surprising.
yeah.
I think Natalie
I
wants to
could
say
see
something.
well until I was 67.
Yeah, that's true. You weren't a spring chicken.
No.
I just
I'll
I
ask
I
my
misjudge.
son.
I misjudge distance. So being blind would probably help in that respect, because right now I think I'm pouring something into a bowl and
And
I
you pour
miss
it
the
down your
bowl
sleeve.
completely.
Right.
Or on the
It's-
tray.
This is what I
Hi,
keep on
Natalie.
saying.
hi.
The
Can I add something?
Natalie,
Yeah, there's something wrong.
did
Hang
you
on a
want?
second.
Oh, you're echoing.
Hi-
Yeah, I know. It's
Hello?
because I'm using my phone because the computer.
Okay, anyway,
Right.
Barbara,
hardest part-
that's a matter of depth perception.
Yeah, can I just say something?
Go
The
ahead,
hardest
yes.
part I found.
Oops, wait, I'm gonna mute Natalie for a
Okay,
second.
no, it's okay. It's okay.
You got it.
The hardest part I found was losing my sight, because I was relying on my sight and it was unreliable. Now I've got no sight at all. It's so much easier.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting thing.
In some respect, it would be.
Yeah.
Try it. Barbara, close your eyes and try it.
You don't have
That's
to
what
have evidence.
And
I'm gonna
I
try
think I
that.
have my problem solved. Could I?
Okay,
add
Natalie, you want to ask a question?
Well, there's a couple of things that one thing is I learned to cut vegetables Japanese style, which means using a knife, which is, you want to call it tall, the handle
Yeah.
and the blade itself is tall. And I use my knuckles. I
Yes.
put my knuckles on the side of the knife, and then I just cut and move my knuckles a little bit and cut and move my
Yes.
knuckles a bit. And so the blade never comes anywhere near my knuckles. And I do manage to get slices, not to say I'm as skilled as the Japanese are, but I did learn that in Japan. And then there was
Yeah.
one other thing I learned as far as filling anything, which is, I think a lot of us who are very dominant with one hand forget that we can use the other hand to help. And if
Yeah.
I'm like filling my dog dish, I stick my index finger along the side of the dog dish, and then I'm filling the dish, and I can feel the level of the liquid come up, and I know where the edge of the dish is. And so I stop before it's gotten completely full, and I don't pour liquid anyplace else but into the dish. Somebody once asked someplace about using an ATM. Well, if you use I'm right-handed, so I use my left hand to figure out where the slot is, and then I can stick my credit card in the slot very easily. And I think it's really important to think about how you can use what you have in ways that you might not have used them before. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you, Simon, is
Yeah.
that I have made an appointment with a low vision specialist. It was supposed to be on Tuesday, but he had a family emergency, so it had to get put back. But, you know, I think that there are a lot of ways that many of us don't even think about that can be helpful if we have somebody to suggest it to us.
Exactly.
I mean, you'll find in the back to all my books there are what I call helpful tips. A lot of it applies to the UK, of course, but some of it doesn't. I mean, very little things that you can do, like I put a rail in front of my hob.
You put a, wait, we have to translate this. You put a
Right.
rail in front of your hob, and the hob is the cooktop.
Yeah, the cooktop. Yeah,
Not
I
the
put a
oven.
rail.
Oh, no, 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 no,
Not the oven.
not there.
No, I'm saying a hob.
Burner.
Okay, a hob is the
Yeah.
cooktop, and then the
Yeah.
oven is a separate thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the oven is a cupboard with elements in it which heat up.
okay.
I put a rail in front of my hob, only about an inch high. But A, that gives me a landmark, and B, it tells me that I'm approaching the hot hob.
Oh,
So I
okay.
don't inadvertently put my hand on it. And also it stops pans from sliding off. And the other thing I do with my pans, I always make sure that the handles are parallel to the worktop. They're not pointing over the edge of the
Yeah.
worktop.
People with kids
Um,
learn
The
that.
children.
Yeah, definitely.
You're right about the low vision specialists, and you know we have one in the group who's really great, and she did several videos with us, giving some tips and aids, and sort of in that vein. Marilyn, you asked about the AI app. Can you ask that question better than I just
I was
did?
just wondering if, Simon, if you can use the AI app on your phone at all?
It's
to
seeing,
point towards something and-
seeing AI.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
AI.
It's an app called Seeing AI, and it
Right.
has do you use a smartphone?
Oh yeah, no, I've got a phone. What I've got on my phone is a thing called Be My Eyes.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
yes.
it's
Mhm.
originally a Scandinavian organisation, and they've got something like, I think, 1.5 million volunteers
Mhm.
over the world. And what happens is, if you've lost something and you really can't find it, or you need to know what you got in your hand, you can turn your phone on, turn the app on, somebody will answer, and they will use the camera on your phone to tell you what you're holding or what you're looking for.
Mhm.
And if it's in the dark, they'll also switch the torch on.
That's
So they use your
interesting.
camera as a set of eyes. And it's an app called Be My Eyes.
Yeah,
I
we
don't know whether that's what you've got to say.
I think, well, yeah, and I think somebody who would be totally blind, the problem with Seeing AI, you would have to learn voiceover, which is a very difficult thing, or voiceover on an iPhone or talk back on an Android. That is a difficult task, in my opinion. The second,
Right. Okay, hang on. I've got Synaptic on my phone. I can operate. I've got an ordinary phone, and I can operate it quite happily on the touch screen because everything I touch tells me what I'm touching.
oh, look, we can sort of see Simon in the glow
Yeah.
of his monitor. Smile, Simon, would you? There he is. There you are.
You were better off not saying
But-
me.
But Linda, you can use Seeing Eye without going into VoiceOver. It works like FaceTime almost
It
in
Right.
the
does.
regular app. Yeah, you don't have to use the VoiceOver to use that.
How do you find the app?
I just downloaded it.
Wait,
from
wait,
the
no,
App
no, no. Okay, but all right, let's say you have your smartphone with you and shut your eyes. How would you find that app?
Oh, to find it.
Yeah, to find any app. That's
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
That I'm
Okay.
not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying to find any app. You
Right,
have to learn voiceover to find the app.
right,
Okay.
right.
This-
Okay. I
Linda,
forget.
I can assure you, when you got no alternative, you soon learn.
Yeah, you do. You soon learn. You're right. Even if it is difficult, right? And that's one thing that I will tell you about Simon. He, from the military, learned. You look at what you thought was possible. Did you think it was possible for a blind person to do what Simon's doing? Well, he looked at what was possible and he wanted to do something, so he did it. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, it's not easy.
Well, no,
But-
but
You were a
Yeah.
Marine though, Simon, so it would mean you've got a particular fixed sort of attitude of mind, far stronger than I wouldn't try and pressurize people, but for the Marines I've met here, they seem to be very go and get it, and they know what they want and they know how to do it. It's your training, I
Yeah.
think, to a degree.
That's
yeah,
part of it.
Mm.
as Linda said, the basic ethos is change what you think is possible.
Yeah.
But you see, that's not particularly mysterious because we've done that every single minute since we were born. There was a time when we were crawling around on the floor, and by standing up, we changed what we thought was possible.
But see, the thing is,
By
we get,
learning how to read, we changed what we thought was possible.
but you know, I think some of us get to a certain age, and I will raise my hand and say that I think at some point I said, I cannot learn anymore. My brain is full.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I
that's
do.
sad. It's sad because, and what
Can
Simon,
I say to you, I've probably doubled my knowledge in the last 5 years.
and you did it a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Did you have any
But the fact remains,
physical therapy with it or occupational therapy?
no. I was taught how to use a stick, which is essential. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. One of the turning points for me was going to blind veterans, where everybody was taking the mickey out of each other because none of us could see each other. So that was a real tonic. Then you learn about a young 19-year-old rifleman who lost limbs and had his eyes blown out in Afghanistan. You think, whoa. And suddenly you get a sense of perspective. And then you find out that he's actually doing okay. And he's forging a new career for himself. You think, wow. You come out of that experience thinking, you know, all that's wrong with me is I can't see. And that is a very, very important point to arrive at.
You have
And-
your, otherwise you have your health and things.
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't. Yeah.
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 And what happened then was I came home. My wife said to me, oh, the airfield got an open day. Do you fancy going up? Yeah, all right. Because I knew there were a couple of tiger moths up there from the 1940s. And anyway, I was chatting to the pilot. He said, right, you ready then? I said, what? Ready for what? My wife said, I meant to tell you, you're having a trip in a tiger moth today. Oh, wow. So I got kitted up with flying suit and Biggles helmet and goggles and all the rest of it. Shambled out to the aircraft, climbed into the front cockpit. As I got into the front cockpit and settling myself down, the pilot said, right, he said, what can you see? I said, oh, not very much, not even the instruments. Well, you don't need the instruments. He said, can you see the horizon? I said, no, don't be silly. Of course I can't. He said, right, how are we going to do this then? And I, being a bit simple, said, do what? He said, how are you going to fly the aircraft? Well, I thought the guy was barking, obviously, but I thought about it. I thought, well, you know, what could possibly go wrong? A blind man flying an aircraft. So I said, like pickles by the seat of the pants. Okay, he said. So off we set. 2 minutes later, we were still climbing, and he said, "You have control." And I flew that aircraft across the Chatsworth over to Castleton along the Lady Bower Reservoir where the dam busters did their rehearsals. As we were flying low along, I thought, you know, those old pilots, they overcame things that were impossible. They improvised, they adapted, and they overcome impossible odds to complete their mission. I thought, that's what it's about. I've flown this aircraft. Eyes are all very good, but they're not the whole packet. And when I got back to the ground, I said to my wife, I said, right, that's it. From here on, there's only one way, and that's up. I said,
By the way, you can
found
read,
I found I don't need my eyes. I remember the old mantra, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to challenge every bloody thing that I can so that I can challenge what I think is possible. And that's what I've done ever since.
that's right. You have done, you have adapted. You adapt, adapt, adapt. And you challenge. Yes. And
well, I'll give you an example of a challenge, right? I went into the eye clinic one day and there was the usual fuss. Where's your carer? I mean, where's my carer? I don't have a carer. I'm 73. I'm a big boy. Well, how did you get here? I walked a mile and caught 2 buses. How do you think I got here? So a lot of mumble. So I went along to signed in. So can you please direct me to a chair? There's a rustle of clothing. I thought, oh, I don't believe this. This cannot go unchallenged. So I leant towards the woman and I said, I'm blind. This is an eye clinic. Please tell me you are not pointing.
You're not what?
And you know, the more I tell that story, the more people say, I'm not surprised. Here
Well,
and over the pond, they do not have a clue.
Yeah.
And furthermore, they're not interested in having a clue.
Dead right.
I will, I'm going to have to close soon. I will say that I know that I found Simon through his first book. Let's see, Something into Darkness, Descent into Darkness.
Descent into Darkness.
Yeah. And I really encourage you to read his book. And I don't get anything from it, but the reason I say that and the reason Simon is here is, yes, you're seeing what he can do now, but you need to read what led up to him being able to do what he does now. He did not do it overnight. He really didn't.
What is it,
And
about
I've never
5 years?
studied hard in my life. I'll be honest with you. I've never worked so hard in my life, but it's been worth every single scrap of effort.
it's been worth
The
every
sad thing is so many people don't know what the hell is going on and they give up because they
give up, yeah.
Terrified. Now, is Our Lady from Andover still here?
She is.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I think that with that, I'm going to leave you and Edna go ahead and speak, and we'll just close this. And thank you, Simon. Again, I'm going to stay on here and eavesdrop. But if the rest of you'd like to leave now, or you have anything to say to Simon, go ahead and
Linda, I'd want to say thank you to you for organising all this stuff. I came across it quite by chance, and only because you used this middle name. Was it Chernick?
Yes,
I thought,
that's
yeah, Linda. It must be the same one. Gotta be.
Linda
Gotta be.
Chernick Moore,
Otherwise,
yes.
I wouldn't have found you again. That was what I was looking specifically for. I don't like Facebook. I don't use it much, but you came out.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, good. My Chernick is my maiden name. I'm very proud of it.
Where's
Nobody else remembers it, but thank you, Edna.
I remember
it's
it.
not-
I'm just curious about where it's from.
Polish.
Polish.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay.
It was
Yeah.
originally CHYZR, no vowels, CCZ.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have a grandmother. I had a grandmother named Stutinsky, which is also Polish.
Yeah, no vowels.
Who you, of course,
No
called
vowels.
Babushka.
Yeah.
Who you
Okay.
called Babushka? Yeah?
Pardon me? What?
And you called her Babushka.
Babushka.
Oh,
I do not have a
The
babushka.
scarf, right?
Yeah, I do not have a babushka. I know only a few words in Polish, and unfortunately,
right.
when I met a Polish relative and I tried to speak to her, I was introducing her to my chicken. So,
Thank you
I-
both very much.
oh,
yes, you're welcome. you're
thank you
welcome.
so much.
Simon will be back in a month. Simon will be back in a month.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank
Um,
you.
it-
thank you